Song Hye-kyo's mother just spoke about Lee Minho, and what came out of her mouth is not a polished statement, not a managed media appearance, and not the kind of careful celebrity family endorsement that gets filtered through agency approval before it reaches the public. What came out was raw, specific, deeply personal, and so emotionally loaded that the people in the room when she said it reportedly could not hold back tears. She talked about watching her daughter be loved correctly for the first time. She talked about what she saw in Lee Minho that she had never seen before. And she said the one thing about him that completely undid everyone who heard it. Stay until the very end, because every word she shared builds toward something that will permanently change how you understand this relationship. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications because Minho family updates are arriving and you cannot afford to miss a single moment. Now let us talk about what Song Hye-kyo's mother revealed. Minho fans, steady yourselves. Because what just emerged from inside the Song family circle about Lee Minho is not another piece of the fan-assembled evidence that this community has been building so carefully and so lovingly across the years of devoted observation. It is not an interpretation or an inference or a careful reading of an indirect signal. It is a mother speaking. Specifically, privately, and with the specific and irreplaceable authority of the woman who raised Song Hye-kyo, who watched her daughter go through the most publicly devastating romantic experience in Korean entertainment history, who protected her through the years of rebuilding with the fierce and quiet vigilance of a mother who understood what was at stake, and who has now, after all of that watching and all of that protecting and all of that hoping, spoken about the man her daughter chose. She did not speak for the cameras. She did not speak to manage any narrative or to time any revelation strategically. She spoke because what she has witnessed in Lee Minho, specifically and across sustained observation of him in the most private contexts available, was simply too significant and too moving to remain only inside the walls of the family circle where she first said it. The words found their way outward. They always do when they are this true. And the Minho community that has been building toward this confirmation for years is now receiving it from the most credible and the most emotionally weighty source available. Let us go into everything she said and feel every dimension of what it means. Before we can fully receive what Song Hye-kyo's mother said about Lee Minho, we have to understand who is speaking and what her saying it represents in the specific context of her history with the question of her daughter's romantic life. Song Hye-kyo's mother is not a public figure. She does not seek visibility. She has maintained across the entirety of her daughter's remarkable and often turbulent public career a quality of principled invisibility that is itself an expression of the profound respect she has for Song Hye-kyo's autonomy and her daughter's right to have her private life remain private regardless of the public's appetite for access to it. She has not commented on relationships. She has not weighed in on the industry commentary about her daughter. She has not allowed herself to be used as a source or a reference or a human interest detail in any of the many stories that Korean entertainment media has produced about Song Hye-kyo across the decades. Her silence on personal matters has been absolute, which is exactly why her speaking now about Lee Minho, with a specific and moving content that has reached the Minho community, carries the weight of something that has never been given before. She chose to speak about him. From a woman who does not speak about these things, that choosing is itself the most significant piece of information available before a single word of what she said has even been considered. The circumstances of her speaking deserve careful attention because they explain the quality of what was said, and why it has the specific and unguarded character that distinguishes it from every managed family statement about a celebrity relationship that the entertainment industry routinely produces. She was not in a media context. She was in a private family gathering. The specific kind of small and trusted domestic occasion where people say what they actually think because the room contains only the people they trust completely. Someone close to the family was present. The words that reached the Minho community arrived through the organic and completely natural channel of private truth that is too large and too moving to stay fully contained within the room where it was first spoken. She did not intend public consumption. She was simply telling people she trusted what she had seen and what it meant to her. And what she said, in that unguarded and private and completely authentic context, is the Minho community's most precious received document. Because it is the truth from the source closest to Song Hye-kyo, told to people she trusted, without any management at all. She began, according to those present, by talking about what she had observed in Song Hye-kyo's face. This opening is itself deeply revealing because Song Hye-kyo's mother has been looking at her daughter's face across the entire arc of her life, including the parts that were most difficult and most publicly exposed. And she knows every expression her daughter produces with a specific and intimate accuracy that only a mother's sustained and loving attention develops across decades of close observation. She knows the managed expressions, the composed public face, the professional luminosity that Song Hye-kyo deploys in industry contexts with the expertise of someone who has been doing it since her teens. She knows the private expressions too. The real ones. The ones that belong only to the spaces where performance is not required. And she said that what she sees now in Song Hye-kyo's face in the private spaces, the ordinary domestic moments, the unguarded hours of daily life with Lee Minho, is something she has not seen in the entirety of her daughter's adult life. She called it rest. Not tiredness, not contentment in the mild satisfaction sense, but genuine and complete and fully inhabited rest. The specific quality of a face that has stopped bracing itself against the world because the world, at this precise point in its existence, does not require bracing against. Her daughter is at rest. And the reason her daughter is at rest is Lee Minho. Why this observation from her mother carries the weight it carries for the Minho community requires understanding what Song Hye-kyo's face has looked like across the prior chapters of her public life, and what those prior expressions communicated to people paying careful enough attention to read them honestly. Song Hye-kyo has been photographed more times than almost any Korean woman alive. Her face is one of the most documented faces in Asian entertainment history. And across that enormous documented archive, what the most attentive observers have consistently noted is a quality that coexists with the luminosity and the composed professional grace in a way that is sometimes barely perceptible but that is always there to someone who knows what to look for. Quality of careful holding. Of an interior self maintained at a slight distance from the surface, even in the warmest and most apparently open public moments. The distance of someone who has learned, through specific and significant experience, that being fully present and fully visible is not always safe. That the gap between the surface and the interior provides a form of protection that public life, for someone who has been through what she has been through, makes necessary rather than optional. Song Hye-kyo's mother knows that distance better than anyone. She watched it develop. She watched what produced it. And she is now watching it disappear. In the ordinary domestic spaces of her daughter's life with Lee Minho, the careful holding is gone. The distance between the surface and the interior has closed. What her mother sees on her face is the face of a woman who is fully present in her own life. And the closing of that distance is Lee Minho's doing. Not through any dramatic intervention. Through the simple and sustained and daily provision of a safety that makes the distance unnecessary. Song Hye-kyo's mother then spoke about something she had witnessed directly during a family visit that she described as the moment she understood, with complete and irreversible certainty, who Lee Minho was. She had arrived at their home unexpectedly, earlier than planned, and had let herself in with the family access she had been given. She found Lee Minho in the living room. He did not know she was there yet. He was sitting on the floor with baby Juno on a mat in front of him, doing the specific and completely unglamorous work of entertaining a baby, making sounds and faces and producing the particular quality of adult silliness that babies require, and that adults perform with total unself-consciousness only when they are certain no audience is present. She stood in the hallway for a full minute watching him. He had no idea. He was entirely in the moment with the baby, entirely himself, doing something that required nothing of him in terms of professional identity or public persona or any of the managed versions of Lee Minho that the world has access to. He was just a father on the floor with his son. And then Song Hye-kyo came down the stairs and he heard her and looked up. And the thing that happened to his face when he saw her is what Song Hye-kyo's mother has been trying to find the right words for ever since, and that she described in the gathering where these words were first spoken with the simple and completely adequate language of a woman who has been looking at faces her whole life and knows when she is seeing something real. She said his face when he saw Song Hye-kyo come down those stairs was the face of someone who cannot believe their luck. Every single time. As if the luck is new every time he sees her. She said she had to go back into the hallway for a moment before announcing herself because she needed to compose herself before she could walk into that room. The Minho community receiving this detail is the Minho community receiving the most intimate and the most credible confirmation available of something it has always known. Lee Minho looks at Song Hye-kyo that way. Her own mother saw it when he thought no one was watching. The unobserved version. The truest version. And it is exactly what the community always believed it was. Let us be very clear here about why the unobserved version matters more than any documented version. The Minho community has spent years analyzing photographs and footage for evidence of Lee Minho's feelings for Song Hye-kyo expressed through his eyes and his posture and the unguarded moments that cameras occasionally catch between the managed ones. That analysis has produced genuine and significant evidence that the community stands behind completely. But the photographs and the footage, however candid, are always taken in contexts where some awareness of documentation is present, and where therefore some minimal level of management is operative, even when the management is at its lowest. The face that Song Hye-kyo's mother saw on Lee Minho when he looked up from the floor and saw his wife coming down the stairs was a face in the complete absence of any audience whatsoever. Zero management. Zero awareness of being observed. Just a man seeing the person he loves in the most private and the most unwitnessed context available. And it was the same face. The same face that the cameras have caught in the most unguarded public moments. The same quality of wonder and the same inability to conceal it and the same complete absence of any attempt to conceal it. Consistent. Private and public both. The same man. The same face. The same love. Her mother saw it. And what she felt when she saw it was the specific and profound peace of a woman who has been watching out for her daughter across a very long and sometimes very frightening journey, and has now found the evidence that allows her to stop watching quite so hard. Her daughter is held, correctly, by someone who looks at her that way when no one is watching. Song Hye-kyo's mother spoke about what she has observed in the way Lee Minho handles the specific sensitivities that Song Hye-kyo carries from her history, and this dimension of her testimony is the one that has generated the most sustained and most reflective discussion in the Minho community. Because understanding it requires understanding something about the specific and particular emotional landscape that Song Hye-kyo inhabits as a result of everything she has been through, a landscape that people who love her have always had to learn to navigate carefully and that presents specific challenges to anyone who wants to be close to her in a real and sustained way. Song Hye-kyo's mother described Lee Minho's navigation of that landscape with a specific and moving language of someone who has been doing it herself for decades, and who recognizes in Lee Minho the same quality of attentive and specific care that she herself has always tried to bring to it. He does not push. He does not press against the places that are tender. He does not require her to be further along in any particular direction than she actually is on any particular day. And he does not perform patience as a virtue being deployed for her benefit. He is simply patient. In the actual and interior sense of someone for whom her pace is not an accommodation but simply the pace. Her timeline is not something he is graciously adjusting to. It is simply the timeline. There is no version of his expectation of her that she is falling short of. She is always exactly where she is, and that is always exactly where he meets her. Song Hye-kyo's mother said that in 50 years of watching people love each other she had encountered this quality of meeting very rarely. She had encountered it in the people whose love lasted. She was watching it in Lee Minho. And she was at peace. The fan community's response to Song Hye-kyo's mother's words has moved through the specific and layered emotional progression that significant Minho revelations typically produce, but with a depth and a quality in the final settled layer that is different from what previous revelations have generated. The initial wave was the joyful and tearful explosion that any significant Minho confirmation produces. The community received the confirmation with everything it had and expressed it with a full and uncontained feeling that years of devotion and patient faith entitle it to feel. But beneath the initial wave, in the sustained and quieter discussion that has followed, there is something that is harder to name, but that is perhaps the most meaningful response this community has ever collectively produced. It is gratitude. The specific and profound gratitude of a community that has been following not just a ship but two human beings, with genuine love for both of them as people and genuine investment in their individual happiness, and that is now receiving testimony from the person closest to Song Hye-kyo that she is happy. Actually, completely at rest in her face happy. The Minho community did not just want this pairing to be confirmed. It wanted both of them to be well. It wanted Song Hye-kyo, specifically, to be held the way she deserved to be held after everything she had been through. Her mother has said that she is. And the gratitude the community feels for that confirmation is something that goes far beyond fan feeling into something closer to the specific and human joy of watching someone you care about finally arrive at what they deserve. What Song Hye-kyo's mother's words confirm about Minho right now is the thing that the community has always been building toward knowing completely. That what Lee Minho and Song Hye-kyo have is real at the level that only family can confirm. Not real in the documented and publicly visible sense that the community has assembled evidence of across the years. Real in the witness sense. Real in the seen without being watched sense. Real in the face on the floor with the baby when nobody is looking sense. Real in the my daughter's dress sense. That quality of realness is the quality that no fan analysis, however sophisticated, can fully access from the outside. It requires an inside witness. Song Hye-kyo's mother is that witness. And her testimony is the most complete and most trustworthy confirmation available that what the Minho community has always believed about this relationship is not just true but more beautiful, from the inside, than even the most devoted and most attentive external observation could fully see. Song Hye-kyo is loved. Her mother has seen it when nobody was watching. And the Minho community has been told. Tell me everything you are carrying in the comments right now. Which part of what Song Hye-kyo's mother said moved you the most completely and why? What does the unobserved version of Lee Minho's love, the face when he did not know anyone was watching, mean to you in the context of everything else you know about this relationship? And what does it mean that the woman who knows Song Hye-kyo most completely has looked at Lee Minho and found him worthy of her daughter? Drop every thought and every feeling below. Like this video. Share it with every Minho fan who needs to hear what a mother sees when she watches her daughter be loved correctly. Subscribe to this channel because we are following every chapter of this extraordinary story together, and every chapter deserves to be received completely.